After an encouraging sweep against the Toronto Blue Jays, the Yankees face off against one of the best teams in the American League, the Oakland Athletics. Here's the lineup that will face off against former Yankees prospect James Kaprielian, who comes into the game at 3-1. DJ LeMahieu leading off at first base. Aaron Judge out there in right field made that great catch last night over the wall. Gleyber Torres back in there at shortstop, the back apparently fine. Giancarlo Stanton is the DH tonight, hit a big home run in last night's game. Gio Urshela almost had 2 home runs, did have 3 hits, including a big 2-run shot. He is at third base once again. Rougned Odor picked up a base hit last night. He is at second base. Miguel Andujar out there in left field. Clint Frazier on the bench once again. Kyle Higashioka is your catcher tonight. And Brett Gardner is out there in center field in front of a packed house at Yankee Stadium. And on the mound, Jameson Taillon, number 50. It's been a rough year for Jameson Taillon with an ERA approaching 6 and just 1 win here in the second week of June. We're hoping that he can put it together. He may be another victim of the diminished spin rate. For those of you who watched the game, please submit your player of the game in the comments, and I'll be back in just a second with the This episode of NYY Recaps is brought to you in part by Manscaped. Summer's coming. Are you ready to unveil your beach bod? If so, you're in luck. Our friends at Manscaped just launched their 4th generation performance package, which includes the Lawnmower 4.0. You heard that right, the 4.0. Complement your dad bod or six-pack with a trim from the leaders in male grooming. The sun is shining and calling your name, fellas. Join the 2 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped and get ready for a hot guy summer by going to manscaped.com for 20% off and free shipping with the code NYY Recaps. The Performance Package 4.0 also includes the Weed Whacker to chop your worst weeds up top in your nose and ears. They make your wives and girlfriends want to puke.
Ew.
You'll also get 2 free gifts in the Performance Package 4.0. They're very comfortable boxers and the Shed travel bag. So bring your comfort and boxers to the next level with Manscaped. Your balls will thank you. I saw a great comment on Reddit tonight about Mike Ford. Apparently he was in a kayak in Tampa already. And this user commented that he's trying to prove that he would indeed hit water if he fell out of a boat. Hey, at least we still got jokes, right? Yanks lose this one. It was supposed to be a packed house, as I mentioned in the lineup section. By the way, we had a typo on Jameson Taillon's ERA. It was 5.74 coming in. Yankees lose this one 5-3. And the attendance was only 24,000. So maybe people not as excited to come back to Yankee Stadium as we thought. We have the belt keeper of Gio Urshela. And I debated whether or not I wanted to even give out a Yankees player of the game for losses. Because in losses, you know, there's like that scene in Moneyball. Quietness. That's what losing sounds like. But I decided I will do it. It's a fun little interactive thing, and some guys do play well even though you lose. So I am going to give the belt tonight to probably DJ LeMahieu because he seems like he's getting the most votes. It's either DJ LeMahieu or nobody. So LeMahieu's going to get the belt. Let's go ahead and take down Urshela. And congratulations to DJ LeMahieu. All right, so let's go through the quick recap. You might notice a little different camera tonight. I switched over to the webcam for these. I feel like the mirrorless cam was kind of causing my stream to go a little bit, batty sometimes. Oakland jumped up 1-0 in the first from a home run by Matt Olson into the second deck. Just absolutely crushed. James Kaprielian was on the mound for the A's, former first-round draft pick of the Yankees. Traded for Sonny Gray, another beauty by Cashman. He was impressive out of the gate, 2 strikeouts in the first inning, one of them on a bad call to Judge. He got bad calls all night. The whole Yankees team got bad calls off of the outside part of the plate to righties. You're talking 6 inches outside getting called a strike. You just can't hit when that happens. Canna picked up an RBI single in the third to make it 2-0. They were hitting ropes off of Tyone. I wanted him out of there, but he did settle down a little bit. Bottom of the third, DJ LeMahieu drives an outside pitch over the right field wall. Typical DJ LeMahieu Yankee Stadium home run to tie it at 2. And the crowd was loud. I missed that. I missed hearing that. And that's going to have a positive impact on the players, I think. Top of the fourth, Moreland rips one into the corner. Judge holds him at first with an amazing throw. Just a bullet from the corner. Great throw by Judge. And again, the crowd loved it. Tyone came out after 4 1/3. Final line was 4 hits, 2 runs, 1 walk, 5 strikeouts. Gardner made a nice play in center field to end the top of the fifth. Bottom of the fifth, Rougned Odor ran into one, as he does on occasion. Don't let it fool you into thinking he's a good hitter, but he did hit it to the back of the right field bullpen. Ball is starting to travel again, it looks like. Top of the sixth, Wandy Peralta served up a hanging breaking ball for a 3-run home run to Tony Kemp. Light-hitting lefty, Tony Kemp. And that's why you got to have lefty hitters at Yankee Stadium. I'm not even going to jump on Peralta because, I mean, it's obviously a bad performance. But, you know, when you have lefties at Yankee Stadium, that's what can happen. Again, the Yankees' offense dormant. Just 3 hits off of the rookie Caprillion. And he's got good stuff, but he's not unbelievable. 93, 94 with the fastball. Pretty straight. A little bit of a funky motion, which is why he keeps destroying his arm, by the way. We got a super chat I'll get to in just a second. Let's see. Gary Sanchez pinch hit in the 7th and popped out with the tying run on base to end the threat. And then Stanton gets on in the 9th, and for some reason Boone doesn't run for him, just not paying attention. The guy hasn't been running all season. And then Urshela bounces into the double play to end it. Yankees drop this one 5-3. Major takeaways: Peralta's not pitching well. Judge and Torres both slumping badly, and the umpires sucked all night. And James Caprillion is really good. Wish we had him. Okay, so super chat from SB Games. He says, let me make it a little bigger. Yankees should trade Davy Garcia and Clark Schmidt for Ketel Marte.
Yes, I agree.
However, I don't think that would solve your problems. This is still not a great constructed team. And also, I don't know if the Diamondbacks would even take that. Davy Garcia has not impressed me much this year in his 2 stints. And where the hell is Clark Schmidt? The guy had some elbow soreness in spring training. He still has not pitched, to my knowledge. So I just don't think that's enough to get it done. I think if you want Ketel Marte, they're going to ask for the Martian. You can say no. You might be able to talk him down into Luis Medina, who, by the way, threw 102 miles an hour in Double-A the other day. So you're going to give up a lot if you want to get Ketel Marte. Let's see. Will Starr says, I feel like Cashman is going to wait till the very last hour to make a trade at the deadline. And it's not necessarily that he's waiting. It's that other teams are waiting him out. If they know that he's got a need, right, he's willing to pay for it right now. But as the team goes closer and closer to the deadline, you know, if they get closer in the standings, he might be willing to pay a little bit more. Or if you fall back into this, you know, further back in the standings, he might be willing to pay less. So teams are going to run that risk. If I'm Brian Cashman, I'm saying what I can get right now for center field, because you got to get more offense in center field. Even Starling Marte in Miami is someone they need. Lowman says Yanks need a Tim Tebow type talk. I need an Advil after all of that alliteration. Let's see. Pamela Davis says, if I were Boone, I would have gotten myself ejected in the 4th inning. Absolutely. So there were pitches way off the plate all night long that were not even close. Not even close getting called against the Yankees. And it wasn't going for both sides. I don't have any stats to back that up. I could be wrong on that. But it wasn't going for both sides. It seemed to be adversely affecting the Yankees. But bottom line is both teams, you know, play on the same field, have the same umpire. You know, it's up to you to win given the conditions of the night. And the Yankees just didn't get it done tonight. Martin Kalunga says, that sucks. Really wish we were in first place, bro. It's not fun losing. It's actually awful.
It's awful.
Isaiah Torres says, release Peralta and retire the umpire. I can get on board with both of those. Frank Graham, this guy, he calls him the Kryptonian. Krypton is not Mars. Those are different planets. So he wants to call up Kryptonian or Martian one day, and now today he's saying trading him. Look, they're going to just wait it out on Jason Dominguez. You don't deal a talent like Jason Dominguez for a mediocre team like the Yankees. Like, the Yankees would do better to lose this year and keep Dominguez than to win this year and trade Dominguez. That's just bottom line. Because Dominguez is going to be an all-timer. From all the scouts, they all think he's going to be an all-timer. Lori C says, Boone needs a few energy drinks and a kick in the ass. I think Boone is a little bit deflated. Just watching his press conferences, you saw when Brian Hoke asked him, do you think this team's gotten used to losing? He got really upset at that question, right? You don't get upset when someone is way wrong. If someone were to come up to me and say, Derek, you're not a Yankees fan. You're not a real fan. I wouldn't even be mad because I know I've been watching the Yankees for over 30 years. I know I'm a real fan. So when someone says, do you think your guys are used to losing? They're getting used to a losing culture. Get out of here with that. Get out of here. He's overly pissed because he senses a little bit of truth. A little bit of truth there. David Evans says, Tyone has never looked good. I just think Tyone doesn't have that third pitch. He's usually pretty good first time around the order. His fastball is decent. Got a good curveball. I know he was trying to throw the sinker more tonight, the changeup, but I just don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening for him. I think this is going to be his only year with the Yankees. Let's see. Derek Q, great name, says, can you please tell me why Boone doesn't say anything to the umpires? These pitches were consistently 5 inches off the plate. Well, one reason is he doesn't have the same view. He doesn't have in real time the K-zone with the little ball that we have. He can't see necessarily east and west in regards to the plate as much as he can see up and down. So a lot of times when you see him get really angry, it's on pitches that are way up or way down, right? So I think it's a little tougher for him east-west, but the players weren't even sticking up for themselves. I want to see Judge. He should have gone ballistic on that pitch off the plate. He's the team leader. He's got, Mattingly occasionally would get crazy. Jeter didn't get ejected much, but Jeter had a different type of anger. Jeter would so let's say the microphone was the umpire, and there was a bad call. Jeter would come right up to the umpire, look away, and whisper something like, that was not a strike. I'm just telling you that wasn't a strike. I'm good at baseball, I promise. Not a strike. And then he would go away. And he would walk right off. He would not show the umpire up. I feel like Aaron Judge should have stood up for himself a little bit right there. Arya Via says, Jays were false hope, we only. I think I get what you're saying. It's that, the Yankees beat up on a not-so-great team, the Jays, and looked good for a few days. But the A's, obviously a very good team, didn't seem to have much trouble with the Yankees tonight. But I did think that the Yankees had some, and I know this is cliche, this sounds like an Aaron Boone thing, they did have some better swings. DJ LeMahieu using the right field porch, if he gets hot, and he's been heating up, if he gets hot, he can carry it for a while. I don't think that Miguel Andujar is swinging the bat as well as he was a couple of weeks ago. He seems to be maybe just off a little bit on his timing. And then obviously Gleyber Torres and Aaron Judge are cold right now. It's hard to win when some of your best hitters are just kind of cooling off. Odor ran into one, but he's not somebody you typically rely on for a ton of offense. Urshela, you can't count on him every night. He's more of a defensive guy. He's solid, consistent offensively, but he's not going to be one of your offensive juggernauts every night. You got to get the big guys going. You got to get the Gleyber Torres and the Aaron Judge's hitting. And I'm a little bit worried about Gleyber Torres' power at this point. I'm a little bit worried because You know, this is a guy who hit 38 home runs a couple of years ago, had 24 his rookie year. He was a guy who had power. He hit 5 home runs in spring training, but just 3 home runs this year. And I think just 2 home runs last year. That's not a lot of home runs. I mean, that's a pretty big sample size to have that limited of power. So I got to say, I'm starting to keep my eye on Gleyber Torres. Although I will say this, Gleyber Torres has looked much better defensively. Yankees for life 27 says CC Sabathia for manager. I feel like we get a comment about CC being the manager every night. He's actually having a great time out of baseball. He's playing softball in the park. He's spending time with his wife. He's, enjoying his foundation. So he's doing great. Honestly, I don't think the problem is going to be easily fixed by replacing the manager. I think you need more left-handed hitters. I really just think it comes down to balance in the lineup. I mean, Tony Kemp is a little guy. He's not a big guy. But at Yankee Stadium, a routine fly ball from a lefty can turn into a home run. That's why they call it getting porched, and they call it cheap. It's a stadium that's built for lefties. And obviously, the Yankees believe that stacking the lineup with righties gives you just as good of a chance. And I'm here to tell you that that's wrong. I've been watching Yankee baseball for longer than Brian Cashman. I mean, you got to have lefties in that lineup. You've got to. It's just the stadium is built that way, and I don't see what they don't get about that. Alex Jr. Viagra Figueroa says, I wish the Yankees would have 9 Adam Fraziers. I'll tell you what, Alex, 1998. Let me tell you about that 1998 team. I don't know if you remember that team or not. I don't know how old you are. That team had 9 guys who would battle. You had Chuck Knobloch as a leadoff man. Now, he struggled a little bit defensively that year. He only hit 265. He did hit 17 home runs, which at the time I think was a career high. It's weird that I know those stats off the top of my head, but he was a guy who would work every at-bat, and he was a clutch hitter. And then Jeter batting second, I think he hit 324 that year. Then you had Paul O'Neill. Bernie Williams won the batting title. He hit 339. Tino Martinez was on pace for 40-something home runs until May, but he got hit by a pitch by Benitez in the back and was never quite the same that year. But he had a really good year, 28 home runs. I think he hit 280, 290. Scott Brocious hit 300, I think 18 home runs or 19 home runs and 98 RBIs out of the number 9 hole. That was a team. Your left fielders were a combination of guys. You had like Chili Davis Chili was more DH. It was Ricky Leday, Shane Spencer in September. You had Tim Raines. That was a team of basically 9 great ball players that were just there to win every night. Just a great combination of talent and work ethic and guys pulling on the same rope. Jaden Sanchez says, no, we need 20 Trouts and 20 Otanis. I tell you what, Otani has looked really, really good this year. He's been unbelievable. He's going to be in the home run derby. I'm excited to see that. It's going to be in Coors. I remember the 1998 season, I think, was Coors. That was a great year. Great year. Laura Volpe says, you hit it on the head. Operative word, battle. Yeah, I feel like sometimes guys think of baseball, or at least teams that are full of veterans or guys who are established. I think they think of themselves as being professional athletes in a professional sport, and they forget the competition aspect because you're not fighting for a paycheck. You've got a good lifestyle. At the end of the day, if you go 0 for 4, it doesn't really affect your life. Sure, you don't get to win, whatever. You don't get to celebrate, but you're going to go home in your, BMW, and you're going to pull up, and your supermodel wife and your $6,000, custom-made dog from Alaska is going to greet you. And you got your 2 little perfect kids who spend all day in private school with their private teachers and their perfect nutritious lunch. And you're going to watch a movie on your 85-inch screen while you drink a $900 bottle of champagne. There's something to not having the same competitive fire. Look at that 2017 team. Not that many guys were getting paid. That was a team of young, hungry guys. And, once you start to make that money, it can definitely, I think, take off some of the edge. I think the Yankees need to go after some younger players. I'm a big fan of some of the moves they've made in the minor leagues, promoting Peraza, promoting Luis Medina. Super chat from Charlie Moyner says, Ketel Marte will be expensive, and I also am interested in Starling Marte, who will be a free agent next year. He says, your thoughts. I talked about this a little bit earlier, but if I had to choose between the two, obviously I would choose Ketel because he's got that left-handed presence, even though he's going to cost more. I want to see what the cost is. I'm really scared to trade Luis Medina and Luis Gil, and I know I wouldn't trade Dominguez for anything. I just got to be, I got to be sure that what we're trading won't kill us in the future. Because I'm not sure this team wins even if you add Ketel Marte. Now, the Yankees did catch a break, and I hate to phrase it that way because you don't want to win like this. But with Tyler Glasnow being placed on the 60-day injured list with his UCL injury, I mean, that's going to really affect the way that the Rays are able to, get through the next couple of months. They're not a team that can afford a lot of starters. And so, one more guy goes down, which is likely to happen. Their bullpen's going to get worn out. I could see them collapsing totally because he was the linchpin that held that whole thing together. It's kind of like when Judge or LeMahieu got hurt over the past couple of years. It was really tough for the Yankees to recover from that. Alan Landsman says 162 game season. You have to treat it differently than the NFL. Not really sure what you mean by that. I would love to hear you or read any further thoughts you have on that. Arya Vyas says, would you trade Dominguez for Trout and Ohtani? Well, of course I would trade him for Trout and Ohtani. But that would never happen. That's just a hypothetical that would, would I trade my Nissan Rogue for a Tesla Model S? Yeah, sure. I would. But it just wouldn't make sense. It's just not realistic, not based in reality. MMS says, nah, we need 100 prime Babe Ruths. I would take it. Buoyancy says, keep or trade Frazier. Honestly, I would trade Clint Frazier at this point. I'm sure there's a team out there that could use a right-handed hitting bat. He's still got a ton of tools. He's a very strong kid. And just by judging from what I've seen from him personality-wise, I don't think he's a New York guy. Some guys just don't have that gene to let the criticism and the press just wash over them. You could say whatever you want about David Cone, and he wouldn't care. He'd go to the bar after the game and have a good time, have a few drinks with the boys. But if you speak ill of Clint Frazier, he's going to read about it or get angry about it. And I just think that, as someone who's prone to long streaks of not playing very well, New York can be a tough town. And as Franchise says, great post, by the way, his confidence is shot. So, one positive about going to the old camera here for these live streams, I'm going to do the Canon camera, which is the higher res camera, on my Yankees game day shows and my interviews that I do. But I'm going to stick with the webcam for the post-game shows just because it's not interrupting the stream. Everything's not going fuzzy. I'm able to stream at 1080p, and I haven't been dropped off. I remember last year when we were doing this during the playoffs, I was doing watch parties pretty much every night on this camera, and it never disconnected. So I think I'm going to stick with this camera for the live streams. Just, sacrifice a little bit of quality for, stability in the stream. And also, that'll allow me to go for longer than 30 minutes if I want. Danny J says, trade Clint and Jameson as a package. I think you could probably get something for Jameson Taillon. I do. I think he's healthy, and I think he would be a pretty good relief pitcher. He's tall. He's funky. I think that if you dealt him to someplace like San Diego, somebody who's a contender and needs one more bullpen arm, a guy who's really tall, has kind of a funky arm motion, can throw that high fastball, usually is pretty effective for the first time through the order. He could come in with the game tied. Let's say it's, 6th inning and you're facing the bottom of the order once and then the top of the order once, I would feel really comfortable going with Jameson Taillon for 2 innings. And that can be a very valuable guy for your bullpen. And we've seen guys pitch in relief after 2 Tommy John surgeries before. We haven't seen as many guys be an effective starting pitcher. So it is what it is. Alan Landsman says, Rays down 3-1 in the bottom of the first. That's good news. I want them to really just fall off. Arvya Vyas says, when's the next watch party? So that brings me to one point. I was going to do one tomorrow. I just don't have time. My wife and I are taking a little trip, so I'm not going to have any kind of show tomorrow. I'll probably do a watch party the next time the Yankees have like an important evening game that I'm around for, basically. I do those when I can. You know, they're tough because it's a long commitment. It's tough to stream and talk for 2-3 hours. It really is. 1201 says, I still think the Yankees should sell at the trade deadline. We're still a ways away. We're 6 weeks away. So let's not sell just yet. Alex says, I don't think Jason should be as hyped because he's never faced live pitching. Well, he's never faced competitive live pitching from other teams, but he has faced live pitching. He's hitting off of other top prospects. And he's putting up great numbers, and they're measuring everything. Everything I hear is that he is legit. He is as advertised. So don't get down on Dominguez just because you haven't seen him yet. That's the Yankees' fault. It's not his fault that he's not facing live pitching. It's the Yankees holding him back. But word is that once he hits the minor leagues, he's going to take off like a rocket, according to Brian Hoke, and just zip through the minor leagues. Theo Epstein for GM says Yankees for life 27. I agree.
I wholeheartedly agree.
I would love to see him, but I don't see it happening, at least not during the season. Lamar says, what's wrong with Gleyber Torres? Only 3 home runs this season. That's something I was talking about earlier. It's unfathomable that his power has been so diminished. He's really, really struggling with the power. Just kind of, falling back over the plate now again. He's swinging too hard. I just don't know if he's ever going to generate that kind of power again. Pamela Davis says Gleyber can't see. Yeah, he was wearing those glasses, and he says they weren't prescription glasses, but maybe they helped him focus. I was talking to my dad the other day, and he mentioned that when you get older, you might be able to read an eye chart fine, and there might be some ophthalmologists. I think is it ophthalmologists or ophthalmol? I think it's ophthalmologists in the chat that might be able to weigh in on this. And if you watch it later and you're an ophthalmologist, feel free to comment. From what I've heard, you can be able to read an eye chart fine, and it might appear that your eyes are good, but you have trouble focusing on a moving object. That can be the first thing to go. So that could be tough on picking up spin. And it also looked like he had trouble picking up that funky arm angle from James Caprillion. Junior B says, how many laces are on a baseball? That would be 108 stitches on the baseball. Have one right here. This is actually... This is not a Major League Baseball. This is from Ripken Baseball. It's like a youth baseball organization. Lori C says, YouTube just now sent me the noti. Well, at least you're here. That might explain why we've only had like 220-something people in the chat. Usually it's up around 400 or what now. Buoyancy, how many wins before the break for them to be serious buyers? I haven't done the math, but I think if you're within 4 games of first place, I think you can make a run for it. Over 2 months, we just saw the Yankees pick up 3 games in a week. So I think within 4 games gives you a pretty good shot. Walski Polino says, we always pick up washed up old players. You're not wrong. Like Rougned Odor, I know he had a home run tonight, and I should be honest, jock, but for real, this guy doesn't impress me that much. I mean, he's had a few good games, but we're seeing now with a larger sample size that he's just not a good hitter. He's not bad defensively. That might be his one thing. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a night. I hope that the Yankees can pick up a win tomorrow. I will not be doing a show. I've got plans with the wife for a little travel day, but I'll be back on Sunday. So tune in then. I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. If you really enjoyed it, check out the swag section. We've got tons of great designs to support all your favorite Yankees. And if you simply cannot get enough Yankees content, check out the podcast version of this channel, The Frieze by NYY Recaps, available wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Derek. Thanks for watching.